Hey, I get it, you're standing in the shop, staring at a 20-ton press and thinking, is this the one that will actually do the job, or am I just throwing money at a piece of metal that will sit idle? That hesitation is real, especially when you've got a budget and a list of projects that need to move forward. You don't want to end up with a press that's either too bulky for your bench or not strong enough for the parts you need to form. If you're wondering whether this Baileigh 20-ton air/hand-operated H-frame press is the right fit for your shop, stay tuned. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the kind of work this press is built for. The frame design gives you a vertical footprint that's tighter than a traditional frame, which means it can slide under a standard workbench without demanding a whole wall of space. For a small to medium shop that already has a bench full of tools, that's a genuine advantage. I've seen hobbyists and small batch manufacturers complain that a full-sized press takes over the entire shop floor, forcing them to rearrange everything just to get a piece of metal in position. With the Baileigh, the whole unit measures roughly the size of a compact dishwasher, so you can park it in a corner and still have room left for a drill press or a CNC machine. Now, about the actual force behind it. 20 tons sounds like a lot, and it is enough to bend 71/2-inch ch stock of mild steel, aluminum, and even some tougher alloys if you use the proper dies. The key here is that the press isn't just a big screw in a block. It's air-operated, so once you hook it up to a standard shop airline, you get smooth, repeatable strokes without the jerky feel of a hand-cranked lever. In practice, this means you can run a series of operations, say, stamping a batch of brackets, with consistency that's hard to achieve on a manual press. If you've ever tried to keep a steady pressure with a hand lever, you know how quickly fatigue sets in and how the results can vary from one piece to the next. That brings me to the adjustable table. Baileigh gave this press a slatted, height-adjustable work surface that slides up and down on the frame. The adjustment range is generous, covering the full stroke of the ram, and the locks feel solid. For anyone who needs to switch between thinner sheet metal and thicker stock without fiddling with shims or additional hardware, that adjustability translates directly into time saved. I once watched a small fabrication shop move from a 3-ton manual press to this model, and the operator went from spending a minute or two on each changeover to just a quick twist of a knob. Those seconds add up when you're producing dozens of parts a day. Durability is another word that shows up a lot in the product's description, but it's more than marketing speak. The frame is welded from heavy-gauge steel, and the moving components are hardened and lubricated from the factory. In a shop where tools get knocked around, that kind of construction means you won't be worrying about cracks or warped sleeves after a few months of heavy use. The air motor is also designed to run continuously. You can keep the press cycling for hours if your production schedule calls for it, and the cooldown period is minimal. That reliability factor is why the few reviewers who did leave a rating gave it an average of 4.3 stars out of 5. It suggests most users find the machine steady and dependable, even if they haven't spelled out particular anecdotes. Let's weigh the practical strengths against the hidden trade-offs. First, the biggest strength, the air-hand operation, is also a point where you need to be prepared. If your shop already runs an air compressor that can handle the press's demand, about 5-6 CFM at 90 psi, you'll be set. But if you're working from a portable compressor or a small residential grade unit, you might find the press throttles down, or you'll have to upgrade your compressor with a bigger tank and motor. That's an extra cost that isn't obvious on the product page. The press itself doesn't include a dedicated air regulator. You'll need to add one if you want fine control over the ram speed. Another practical drawback, the press is fairly heavy. The base alone tips the scales at roughly 750 pounds, meaning you'll need a team or a forklift to move it into place. For a shop that's already set up, that's not a daily hassle, but you should be aware of the initial logistics. If you're planning to shift the press between rooms or take it to a job site, you might reconsider, because the effort to relocate it could outweigh the convenience it offers once it's installed. Who should buy this? If you're a small to medium fabricator who regularly works with sheet metal up to 71/2-inch cheese, needs consistent force without manual fatigue, and already has an air system.